Here we go. I'm Roya Mattis, and I have the opportunity to be able to speak to you today. Okay, goodness gracious. You know, when you got curly hair, sometimes it's like, what is going on? Anybody relate to me? Like, it's like chia pet too. The more excited I get, the bigger it grows. It's just like gonna have chia pet. Okay, how many of y'all have curly hair? You know what I'm talking about? Chia pet syndrome, baby. And then wild, whatever's happening. Whatever's happening, there you go. So today is an exciting day in that we get to talk about something that's super, super, super on trend and super, super important to life and to business as a professional. And that is your EQ. And what they have found is that in the 21st century, and I think we all know this intuitively, it is more important to have EQ than IQ. It doesn't mean intelligence means nothing, but let's face it, we can find most any answer anywhere. Of course, humans and the capacity to create that information and to expand on that information and to get deeper with that information is unique to human, other than computer. But the EQ can't be found anywhere but inside of an individual. So let me start with definition. What is IQ and what is EQ, and how can we create a cutting edge experience for you in leadership and in life? How can we give you the edge over what other people have? Because here is something to be alerted about. According to Harvard Business Review, 95% of us think we have a high level of EQ. Guess what the result was? Only 10 to 15% actually do. That means that most of us, 85% of us or so, are walking around with blind spots, and it's likened to having broccoli in your teeth. You don't know you have broccoli in your teeth. Somebody outside of you has to tell you, you got broccoli in your teeth. And you're like, why didn't somebody tell me? I've been walking around with that all this time. Maybe you didn't invite a circle of people that felt comfortable enough to tell you, get the broccoli out of your teeth. So we're going to have a conversation today about opening space for that. What is it? Why is it important? In SHE-ness, we believe in fully unifying to ourselves and therefore being able to fully unify to our sisters and then to be able to invite our men too. What's beautiful is we talk a lot about masculine, feminine energy. And what is incredible is we are at the precipice. There's never been more conversation about feminine energy and masculine energy, and then now marrying that, not just at home, but in the workforce. And this is a prime place. IQ is of masculine energy, the mind. EQ is of feminine energy, the body. And now we are rising. And what's incredible for you as a woman, what's a superpower, is that you already innately have the capacity to go further faster in EQ than our male counterparts. When you're primarily feminine energy at core, it's just a natural trait in us, and we can have suppressed it, and we all need to develop it, and we can all get better with it. Men can too, but this is the beauty about bringing men and women together, and the beauty about rising up the masculine part of you and the feminine part of you in leadership and in life. So in the workforce, we need a little bit more masculine energy. In the home front, we need a little bit more feminine energy. But now what they're saying is we have to be very intentional about rising that feminine energy so that we can access superpower, what's most important, the EQ. So here's the definition. According to Wikipedia, IQ is an intelligent quotient, is a total score derived from the standardized tests or subtests designed to assess human intelligence. It is paper driven. It is numbers driven. It is black and white. Is it true? Is it not? It is head driven. Emotional intelligence is heart driven. It is most often defined, according to Wikipedia, as the ability to perceive, use, understand, and manage emotions. If you're not in touch with your own emotions, sister, if you're not allowing the breadth and the width and the depth and the dark and the light of it within you, how the heck are you going to become the optimal level of leader you are called to be? So I'm going to show you a few photos to give you a mental image concept of what emotional intelligence, EQ, looks like. And let me open this up for you. We're going to start with this one. Emotional intelligence increased will do this for you. Increased leadership ability, increased team performance, improved decision making, decrease occupational stress, reduce staff turnover, increase personal well-being. I don't even have to think. I can know we're all signed up for that. We are all signed up for that. Truth? Okay. Let me make sure I'm still live streaming with y'all. Let me make sure I'm still live streaming. It's saying it's having trouble. Okay, good. I think. All right. I don't want to be talking to myself. I am not doing this for my health. I'm doing this as a gift to you. All right, let's do another visual for you. Interpersonal, intrapersonal, and interpersonal. So EQ is in two different places. Intra, outside of you personally, and inter, inside of you personally. In emotions, it's self-awareness. Your intrapersonal, intra, inside of you, inter, within, interconnected, yeah? All right, so emotions, your own self-awareness, and inter, social awareness. How is what I'm doing affecting other people around me? Social awareness. And then how is it affecting me, and how am I showing up inside and outside? All right, my behaviors, my personal self-management of me, how I react to things, and what I do about them. And then my behaviors relationship-wise with other people. How am I showing up with other people? My behaviors there. And then my intrapersonal self-performance. How am I maximizing the work that I'm doing? And are you accessing the joy? You know, in SHE-ness and in private coaching, I work on helping high-achieving women that are mostly driven in your masculine energy access that feminine piece that gives you the joy that you're missing, the reduces the guilt that you have, increases the ability to go with gut instinct, and heighten your income because of raising your EQ within yourself, and that therefore that feminine energy. Work people's performance. When you have a higher EQ, emotional intelligence, the people that you lead or around you, their performance goes up. All right, let's do another. I'm going to just give you a couple of snapshots, and then I'm going to go into 11 bad behaviors, 4 superpowers to focus on, and how to intentionally raise up your EQ. All right, let's go for this ride here. If you need to see it like this: self-emotional skills, intrapersonal development, management excellence, and socioeconomic factors. In self-emotional skills are self-awareness, self-knowledge, and self-management. Here's the deal, you guys. There are layers to everyone. Think of yourself like an onion layer. If you think you have, or an onion, if you think you have nothing to work on, if you think you are showing up at high capacity, if you believe that there is no stuff inside of you that has to be really dug out by outside perspective, guess what? You still have the layer on the outside of that onion, the shell, and you are not actually accessing the real deal within you. Trust me, ask me how I know. And it only comes from outside perspective of you and intentional work on you to be able to get into those layers. And once you get through one layer, just like an onion, there's going to be a next and a next and a next and the next. EQ is a continual evolvement of personal development. It's a never-ending journey, both within your personal, private life and within your professional life. And then the intrapersonal development, developing human potential and performance. So now we're going to increase and maximize. We're going to, by becoming more higher EQ on yourself, you're going to find out what makes you tick. Why are you doing things? What's driving you unconsciously, subconsciously? That is your, that's your main engine of what runs your life. Your conscious brain tells the machine what to do, but the machine is doing it until you tell it different. And you can't tell it different until you're aware. And then socioeconomic factors, sociability, social and economic awareness, and then management excellence, your relationship management capabilities. There is a line between being their buddy and their friend and being their respected leader. And EQ helps you to have both, because in today's world, people crave connection. They crave to be seen. They crave to grow. They crave to have heightened performance. They crave to be able to max out their personal potential. And that can only be done with a manager that is fully awake and aware. And then finally, this graph here, motivation, being driven to achieve for the sake of achievement, to self-awareness, the ability to know how one's emotions, strengths, weaknesses, drives, values, goals, and recognize their impact on others while using gut feelings to guide decisions. How much feminine energy is that? We are in our prime season in human century, in the human century. Self-regulation involves controlling and redirecting one's disruptive emotions and impulses and adapting to changing circumstances. Well, we just went through major change, the pandemic, and continue to go through that. How are you self-regulating, and how are you keeping your impulses from being destructive in moments that they could be, and then be able to maximize that opportunity to constructive space? Social skills, managing relationships to move people in a desired direction. Do you have the capacity, the EQ, to really make a movement like geese flying in formation? You go faster, further when everyone is centered and enthusiastic and sold out and feel like they're going to get a benefit for themselves in the same company direction. And empathy, considering other people's feelings, especially when making decisions. Do you need to make ultimate decisions as a leader for the greater good? 1000%. With EQ, you're going to be able to make those decisions, and you're going to make them, and with the IQ, you're going to be able to make them strategically, and with EQ, you're going to be able to make them with finesse, in taking other people with you and helping them to buy in and feel a part of, and to make tweaks in those decisions that are going to be the ultimate big picture and maximizing the outcome of that change or of that enhancement. Yes? All right, so let's dive into the 11 bad traits. Are you ready? If you're taking notes, you're going to want to take notes right now. The bad traits. Number 1, low emotional intelligence. How to handle something when things don't go right. Allowing gossip in your organization is low EQ. If you have a bunch of people griping and complaining and moaning and talking about each other and talking amongst each other and cliques and taking people down, you are in a position where your EQ needs improvement. Or if you're participating, your EQ needs improvement. Number 2, chronic sarcasm is a bad habit. In the world of even friendships, if someone says sarcasm is my superpower, I'm thinking, oh, EQ, kind of low in that department, needs to be raised up, not a vibration I want to be around. It's a low vibration. It's not saying that sometimes it can be funny and effective, but overall, sarcasm is a bad trait, chronic. Number 3, inflexibility speaks for itself. Number 4, not following through is low EQ. Number 5, impatience is low EQ. Number 6, being a control freak. It's got to be this way or the highway, or I'm micromanaging. I am making sure that everybody is like me and performs how I would do it. Number 7, lacking empathy. Things happen in people's lives. If you don't give grace for that, you're not giving grace for them to be able to then, you're not giving space for them to show up in their highest capacity, because they don't feel seen as a human being, which is humongous today. People have a sense of self-worth. They have a sense these days, they have a sense that they need to matter to other people to show up at their highest capacity. They don't want to be seen as a number. Empathy takes them from being seen as a number to personalizing for their circumstances. Is there, an art to be able to continue to hold high bar in your organization and have empathy? 1000%. And we have high EQ, you'll be able to do both. Because remember, if you lower the bar, you keep the whiners. If you raise the bar, you keep the winners. The winners will leave with low bar of expectation. EQ helps you have a high bar and a finesse where they all feel connected and love it. It's just like, I'm going to connect it to being a parent. Think about you as a parent and how all these things apply as well. Number 8, being closed-minded is low EQ. Just because you would never doesn't mean other people should never. Just because you do and love doesn't mean other people should do and love. Just because something comes natural to you doesn't mean it comes natural to everyone. Just because you think the world should be a certain way or holidays should be only celebrated on holidays and something that, don't be closed-minded to how someone needs to show up. Maybe for you to best perform, you need to be dressed a certain way, but somebody else, they need to be dressed a different way. Just giving small, seemingly insignificant examples. Number 9, constant complaining is low EQ. It's never what happens to us. It's the meaning that we attach to what happens to us. So high EQ looks for the gift and the positive meaning to grab that experience and leverage it as a stepping stone to the next space. If you don't have the capacity to do that, then that is a place to boop, boop, boop. Okay, awareness, I've got to grow here because I see these as stumbling blocks and not stepping stones. I am finding and catching myself now that I'm becoming aware of complaining more than I realize I'd like to or want to be known for. What is the leverage and advantage point? So constant complaints about habit. Number 10, managing with fear. If you manage with fear that, oh gosh, we've got to hit our numbers, it's my way or the highway. You offer threats. You do scare tactics. You smash people's opinions. Oh, yeah, no, that's a bad idea. Well, that was stupid. Well, gosh, how could you say that? Or you interrupt somebody's new ideas. Or you don't really brainstorm through and make a table of being able to open up spaces for people to have messy ideas in the process. You have a low EQ environment. It is not a compliment if everybody acts like everything is great all the time. Nothing is ever great all the time. So that's another signal to you. If no one is bringing anything to your attention that needs to be better, you could possibly be managing with a narrow view of how things get to happen around you, and people are not feeling free and open to bring their voices, which is, we're always better together, which is, so what you want is not to have weeds in your garden. There are weeds that grow all the time. You want to look at the weed and pull it out. High EQ leader and family member, and as a parent, as a leader in your community or at your work, looks for the weeds and pulls them out. And number 11, narcissism, enlarged ego, always needing to be right and always needing the spotlight. If you can't give credit where credit is due, you are going to be smashing your capacity to have higher quality conversation, invention, output, work, because people need to be recognized. And it is not a shame on you. It is a celebration of you for bringing around superpower people. If we only bring people that are less than intelligent than us, people that don't intimidate us in certain of their capacities and challenge us to be better, we're only the sum of our best, and you are the cap of the best. You can't then rise higher together. I'll never forget the example of Ford and how they challenged him with his, I believe, 8th grade education. He didn't know anything. He goes, but I collect the people by a push of the button. I have all the information I need by calling the right people. Have you surrounded yourself with people that are better than you in certain places and praising them for it, eliminating competing and comparing, and truly collect takes EQ. So, 4 things to stay relevant and be an effective leader. Number 1, self-regulate. Self-regulate, respond and express with restraint. Example, sandwiching with praise. I love Mary Kay Ash, who taught that deep in our organization. Sandwich with praise any hard news. Tolerating uncomfortable feedback in situations without finger pointing is self-regulation. Without lashing out, etc. You might need to change the state of your body so it begins to respond better to a negative feedback. And don't be afraid to table something for later. Mindfulness is the key word. Write that down. For self-regulation, mindfulness is a key word. Number 2, self-aware. Internal is understanding your own strengths and weaknesses. External is understanding how what you do will affect others and how you are perceived by them. According to Harvard Business Review, as I mentioned in the beginning, 95% of people believe they are self-aware, but only 10 to 15% really are. Let that land. And here's what I know for sure. The best of the best are always seeking coaches, are always seeking to improve, are always intentionally increasing their IQ and their EQ. You have a blind spot. We all have a blind spot. All of us. The little thing that could be hanging from your nose, you don't want it hanging from your nose. You need somebody else confident to say, you got something there. You got something there. You got something there. Perception is reality to people, whether you agree with it or not. You have to be self-aware of their perception and work within those to either alter it or to adjust how you show up. So knowing how you might come across. Let's say you are a larger than life human. Let's say you walk into a room and you take up a lot of space with your energy. It's not something to apologize for. It is something, though, to be self-aware of and regulate in your EQ and your communication. Number 3, practicing empathy, practicing it. It doesn't have to come natural to you. Working to feel what others feel with their perspective, or gathering people that have incredible empathy and asking them to describe things to you that you might not be able to really connect with, helps to raise your own EQ, your empathy. Less conflict will happen when that happens. Higher morale. It requires listening to hear and asking the question, coming with curiosity. When someone comes to you, rather than with judgment, rather than with decision, ask what could be true here and what can I learn from this moment and how can I hear them different, Or what are they really trying to say? The key word to practicing empathy is curiosity. And number 4, because we all come with our own filters, you, me, everyone. Number 4, to stay relevant and become an effective leader in EQ is cultivate resilience, bounce back ability. Having even just one trusted person to lean on can create the platform for resilience. People will watch you how you fall more than how you win. I'm going to give you an example. There was a heavy circumstance where I was really out loud for the first time in my business. So we were going to hit $1 million in retail sales that year as a team. The goal is $1 million, 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 the goal is $1 million. And we hit just shy of 850,000. We did not hit million. And they will not tell you, the people that are following you will not say, I'm watching how you fall, whether it's conscious or unconscious. They are watching how you fall. And I'll never forget, I created enough open space for people to be honest with me. And I remember in particular, one girl I called Champ came to me and she goes, Roya, I watched to see how you fell with that. And you praised us. You thanked us. You celebrated us. You vision casted for the next thing, and you didn't fall back and complain or get really sad or tell us that we missed out or point out our failures and our fallings. And that made me gravitate to you for the next level of leadership because I watched you fall gracefully. Your resilience. I also want you to ask yourself as a leader, you're creating resilience for your people. Do your people have bounce back ability? Can they fall? Can they fall out of line with something? Can they miss their goal? Can they hit a goal and then lose that goal and still come back with pride? If they cannot, look at yourself as a leader. Are you creating a safe place to fall? Are you creating a present experience that celebrates failing forward to success? Are you that person for them that allows them to have more resilience? You cannot have an environment that highly succeeds without an environment that's willing to fall faster, to go further. Because the riff of success is every great success is through some failures along the way. That is the barrier of entry for a lot of people to success. They're unwilling to fail because they have not cultivated resilience to get up one more time than they fall down. That's something I had to cultivate hard lessons through 20 years ago because my deepest fear was fear of failure. Cultivating that resilience for you and cultivating that resilience for those in your environment, your children too, your spouse or partner also. So I'm going to leave you with this question, knowing that only 10% of us to 15% of us actually have full awareness of self. And I'm actually going to say nobody has full awareness of self. I've been doing 800 hours plus of immersion training. I have been doing podcasts and books and conversations, and still I continue to find new layers in my onion that I go, oh, I didn't know that was there. And so we always are improving when we allow that to happen. And so what are you intentionally doing to increase your EQ, knowing this is the gateway for your highest performance, for your highest joy, for your legacy, for the capacity to be at your optimum personally and professionally and invite optimum out of those in your environment? So if you haven't been coached and don't continue to be coached by someone, you have blind spots. It's the way of the future in life. The things you can do is get a personal coach, get in a small group or groups, go to large conferences now that we're maybe able to do that, where there's interaction for feedback. Take feedback unguarded, really unguarded, take it in, consider the source and take it in. Go to loving critics, get loving critics at various positions and levels in your life. Let's say your management, get loving critics below you, give loving critics above you, get loving critics at home. People that you've opened space that you trust, that will tell you the truth, and you like that, you trust their perspective. Another thing you can do is called pre-mortem. It's the opportunity to think what is going to happen opposite of what you think would happen. So if you think some outcome is going to happen, go into your mind with the opposite and prepare to really raise your EQ. Get curious, get in prayer or meditation or centering practices. Yep, and practice on purpose. Yes, but the broccoli in your teeth, whether you do prayer, meditation, centering practices, will continue to be there until you seek outside partnership to amp up your EQ game and give you the edge in work and life. I hope this has been a blessing to you. I'm so grateful and honored to be able to reiterate or maybe bring this message to you the first time. We cannot talk about it enough. I want to ask you, what are some traits we want to avoid? Put in the comments below. And what are some things effective leaders have done in your past or that you practice that you could add to what was just shared? And where do you go and what do you do to increase your EQ? I'm looking forward to hearing from you because we are better together at SHE-ness Tribe. God bless. I'm Roya Mattis. I'll see you next week.